Dating a woman who makes me feel like a nag and supportive yet inconsistent is confusing. I've got anxious attachment and want to settle down, but she's busy with a lot of work and hobbies. Can this complicated dynamic turn into a serious relationship? Hello, everyone's. I do not have anyone to discuss my situation with in real life, and I feel that my case is complicated due to my past experiences. I would greatly appreciate your input. You may skip this part if you prefer to go directly to my current situation or read about the problem at hand first. I am a 32-year-old male leading a relatively normal life with its ups and downs, but I have experienced some traumatic events, such as my grandparents who meant a great deal to me moving back to their home country when I was a child. I also feel that I did not receive much affection from my parents, although everything is fine now and I can talk to them. In high school, my best friend passed away unexpectedly. I was comforted by a female friend who was in a relationship, and I fell in love with her. This caused significant issues in her relationship, and we had a secret relationship during which she was emotionally abusive in hindsight. To this day, I believe that this relationship was the biggest mistake of my life. During that period, my new best friend also moved away. To summarize, I believe I have developed an anxiety about abandonment due to my past experiences, an anxious attachment style. As a result, I find myself seeking a lot of attention from potential partners, and I become very frustrated when they do not express the level of interest I expect from someone who is considering a relationship with me. I am well aware of this issue and try to manage it as best as I can, but it can be overwhelming. Current situation. Currently, I am seeing a 32-year-old female. We were introduced by a mutual friend. Our first meeting was a disaster, and I had no interest afterward, primarily because she did not want to adhere to our initial plan of meeting for dinner on a Sunday night. I was not attracted to her, not just because of her appearance but also because of her behavior. A few months later, I needed a +1 for an event, and she was the only person who came to mind since I had moved relatively recently and did not know many people yet. We also follow each other on social media, and I had liked some of her posts and stories, so I felt compelled to give it another chance. She agreed, and we planned to meet near the event to attend together. She arrived very late, and we barely made it in time. At the event, I appreciated her encouragement to introduce myself to an important person in a positive way. Afterward, we went out for dinner and had a pleasant time. She invited me for coffee near her place. The day after, she began chatting with me, and I made a major mistake by unintentionally insulting her. I have a bad habit of teasing people, and I made fun of her English, which was very inappropriate. I usually only make these kinds of jokes with people I like, which she could not have known. Even if she did, it is still not a nice habit of mine, and I want to change. I apologized and tried to make amends by inviting her to dinner, but she was not receptive and we lost contact for a while. A few weeks later, I had an accident and called her for assistance. She helped me but declined several invitations to dinner. At that point, I accepted the situation. However, she liked some of my social media posts afterward, and a few weeks later, she called me to ask for help with her pet. I agreed and we started talking again as my caring for her pet rekindled her interest. We met up for walks and I found myself increasingly attracted to her while sensing that she might be interested in me as well. To shorten the rest of the story, we made some plans, but she did not follow through or postpone them. Nevertheless, she messages me daily and sends selfies. I grow frustrated because she appeared to show interest, laughing, etc. when we met, yet was inconsistent in her responses and seemed to make little effort to meet further. Her time management has consistently bothered me. She has repeatedly been late to our dates, and this was one of the reasons I lost interest after our first meeting. She is quite busy with work, very ambitious, and has many hobbies and family commitments. However, I do not believe this can excuse her behavior. As someone who tends to be clingy, her communication style and perceived lack of time for me, based on my perception of course, since I do not know whether she is genuinely busy and doing her best, are unsettling. We finally met again the other day and I had a serious conversation with her. I expressed my desire for a serious relationship because I want to marry and start a family. I explained that if I were not interested in her, we would not be having this conversation. I told her that I find her behavior confusing, as she seems both interested and uninterested simultaneously. Her responsiveness and time management disturb me, and I would consider this unacceptable even with regular friends. She responded by saying that she feels I am very demanding and interrogative, which she dislikes, understandably, and that while she is trying, it is not easy for her to manage her time. She seemed receptive and we talked for a while. She articulated her issues with me, stating that she felt I was a negative person on our first date because I spent much time complaining about the place, which I had only recently moved to, and did not demonstrate much interest in her, which was true since I was genuinely not too interested. Another significant issue was the earlier incident, where she felt insulted by my mocking her language skills. Despite this, she still seems interested and has outlined both her expectations and dislikes. For example, she mentioned that she does not like negative people or complainers, which I can be at times, even though I strive to be more positive. It is a process. She suggested that we should simply see how things unfold without forcing anything, indicating that perhaps it might work or that we could become great friends. The problem I currently face is that I am unsure whether this relationship can potentially work for the following reasons. I do not know if she can improve her time management, or if it would change as her feelings for me grow, or if we were to become a couple. I hope so. But I cannot be with a workaholic or someone who is rarely available. I can be a nagger and negative at times, and I am uncertain whether I would be the right person for her. However, I guess that decision is hers to make. My primary concern at this point is whether we even have a chance of becoming a happy couple and marrying. The relationship did not start well, and there are still many uncertainties. I wonder if I am holding on to something because I desire to start a family and feel that time is running out. Could this actually work out despite the obstacles? In summary, I am a 32-year-old male with an anxious attachment style, clingy, needing attention and fearing abandonment, who wishes to get married and raise a family. The 32-year-old female is attractive, very successful, ambitious, seemingly from a good family and possesses a good character. We were introduced by a friend. Our first date was a disaster and we did not communicate for a long time. We occasionally liked each other's social media posts. Months later, I needed a +1 for an event and invited her. We had a good time, and the following day she initiated conversation and showed great interest. I made a significant error, and although I apologized, the damage was done, and she rejected my attempts to make amends. I had an accident and reached out to her for help, which she provided. A few weeks later, she sought my help with her pet. We reconnected and began meeting up. My interest in her increased, and I thought the relationship had potential. She messages me and sends selfies almost daily but is inconsistent in her responses or plans. Most frustrating is the fact that she often reads my social media stories while leaving my messages unread. What is going on? We had a discussion where I expressed my intentions and addressed my concerns, and while she listened and offered some answers that were not entirely satisfactory, she also shared her feelings. We acknowledged each other's points and she suggested we see where things go without forcing anything. Her body language appeared positive and she messaged me when she got home and the following day. Yet as always, her responses are delayed despite her being on her phone constantly, or so I believe. My question is, does this situation have a chance of evolving into a serious relationship, or am I clinging to something hopeless because she does not seem to invest as much effort as I do? Wouldn't someone truly interested always make time to chat, call, or meet? It is all so confusing. I am very uncertain about her feelings because I like her, but her communication regarding time is lacking. While I believe she would enhance my life, I am uncertain whether I can say the same regarding my contribution to hers. These thoughts occupy my mind daily, and I have been stressed about them for a few days. Story 2. I'm 25 and 7.5 months pregnant, so I canceled my baby shower. You're making me look foolish, my best friend exclaimed, accusing me of being disrespectful. All I wanted was to advocate for my well-being, but now I'm questioning if this friendship is worth saving. What's next? Scroll for the summary. I am a 25-year-old female, currently 7.5 months pregnant with my first child. Early in my pregnancy, I was uncertain about having a baby shower. Being more introverted, I do not enjoy being the center of attention and do not like typical baby shower activities, such as often cheesy games or the experience of opening gifts while everyone watches. I expressed this sentiment multiple times to my best friend of 11 years and others, indicating that I preferred to skip the shower. However, everyone, including her, insisted that I absolutely had to have one. She mentioned that people are more obligated to give gifts when there is an event. I insisted that unless someone else organized it, I would not hold a baby shower and would be fine with that, as it seemed like an additional burden while I was already managing pregnancy struggles, frequent doctor visits, preparations for the baby, work commitments, and studying. My best friend offered to host one in conjunction with another mutual friend. So eventually, I relented mainly due to this pressure and the fear that I would not receive all the help I could if I did not have one. I assisted in selecting a theme, provided a small guest list, only 15 to 20 people were invited, as I had repeatedly stated that I wanted nothing large or extravagant, and answered any questions I received. I made my preferences clear from the outset, a small, low-key event without a gift-opening session. The electronic invitations were sent out in mid-March. Fast forward to less than 2 weeks ago, 11 days ago. I unexpectedly received a significant amount of second-hand baby supplies from a cousin who had her first child not long ago. I am talking about a substantial quantity of clothing ranging from newborn sizes to 2T. Numerous bottles, baby-wearing wraps, bathing supplies, blankets, toys, books, brand new swaddles that had not been used. A baby Brezza formula dispenser, a sterilizer, a humidifier, everything you could think of, she probably sent in abundance. My partner and I live in a small apartment with limited storage and already had some essentials. A bassinet, car seat, 2 baby baths, plenty of clothes, diapers, wipes, a baby swing, and more. We are even using what is supposed to be our laundry room for storage because we have nowhere else to place things. Additionally, we have more second-hand items on the way that we have not yet physically received. Meanwhile, the symptoms of my third trimester have begun to hit me hard. I feel exhausted, uncomfortable, emotional, and overwhelmed nearly every day. As the shower date May 4th approached, my anxiety increased. The thought of a gathering with both our families and local friends, many of whom have never met, crammed into one room, brought together solely by us and the baby who has not yet arrived, was beginning to stress me out significantly. This stress was compounded by the burden of our limited space and my worsening symptoms. I came to the realization that I no longer felt comfortable with the idea of the shower and did not see it as necessary anymore. 9 days before the shower on Friday, I gently informed my best friend that I might want to cancel. I was honest and respectful about my reasons, which I have outlined here. I even suggested holding a smaller gathering among friends despite my discomfort, as I was unaware of how much planning had already taken place and was concerned about wasting anyone's effort. I did not want to hurt anyone. Speaking up for myself is challenging for me, and I often avoid advocating for my own desires, even if the outcome leaves me unhappy. I usually do not assert my needs when I anticipate that it will upset someone, and I dislike confrontation, but I felt it was crucial to prioritize my mental and physical limits in this case, especially since the event was meant to celebrate me and my baby. From a practical perspective, it no longer made sense to go through with the shower, especially since we already had plenty of items, and my initial agreement was based on the feeling that it was a necessity rather than a genuine desire. I communicated all of this to her in a respectful yet firm manner, but I encountered immediate pushback. There were immediate "what about" responses without acknowledgement of what I had expressed or any of my feelings. At that moment, I became resolute in my stance and did not want to be persuaded to go ahead with the shower for the sake of others when I felt I had the right to stand up for myself. Separately, another incident occurred involving the mutual friend who was helping her plan the shower, as she made an insensitive comment regarding my appearance. When I brought this up, my best friend's reaction was dismissive and unenthusiastic, stating, "I don't think that should be a big deal." I called her out on this in my last message, just before she ignored me for 2 days, as I found it disappointing and unacceptable for someone who is supposed to be my best friend to dismiss my feelings after I expressed how negatively the comment affected me. However, after I spoke directly with the mutual friend, she sincerely apologized and we resolved our issues. That friend admitted she understood why I was upset about my best friend's behavior and felt she handled the situation poorly overall. She even disclosed to me that the matter was not about financial loss, as she had not personally purchased any items for the shower, while my best friend had communicated that her anger towards me and the situation was not financially motivated. Now my best friend is extremely upset with me. She finally responded to my message this morning with a lengthy, harsh letter framing the situation as me disregarding her, effectively making it all about how I have gravely wronged her. She claimed to feel used, disrespected, and taken advantage of, stating that I had made her look foolish. Even though she did not spend much money, she emphasized the time and effort she had invested, which I supposedly disregarded. She conveyed that it hurt her that I canceled without telling her sooner, despite my having only reached this conclusion right before I told her. She expressed that if I had canceled 2 weeks earlier instead of 9 days prior to the event, she would not be as upset. She accused me of not valuing her friendship and referenced occasions from the past when I canceled casual plans, framing this as part of her feeling cast aside by me over the years. Additionally, she stated that I should not use my pregnancy as an excuse to neglect other people's feelings. I understand that it can be disappointing when planned events do not go as expected. I even offered a solution to this situation in the form of a smaller gathering, which she deemed unsatisfactory. I did not make this decision lightly. I only expressed my feelings once I was certain it was the right choice for me, and I attempted to propose a compromise. I genuinely believed that my best friend would be more compassionate about my changing circumstances, both practically and regarding my pregnancy. However, it feels as though she does not care about how I feel and that it is entirely focused on her perspective. All other family and friends invited were completely understanding and supportive, offered their best wishes, and showed willingness to bring gifts at a convenient time. No one else is angry with me except for her. Even the mutual friend assisting with the planning was understanding. Summary, I am 7.5 months pregnant and canceled my small baby shower 9 days before the event due to feeling overwhelmed physically and emotionally, as well as realizing we already had most of the baby items. My best friend who was hosting it became very upset, accusing me of disrespect and using her. I tried to be respectful, proposed a smaller gathering, and sincerely believed she would understand my situation. Now I am questioning everything, including whether this friendship is something I should continue. I am happy to answer any questions.